How you doing, guys? Welcome back. It's LSP. It's currently the 9th of April 2021. Just a quick note before I get into the analysis. The Smart Talk yesterday was brilliant. A lot of great ideas were shared. If you didn't make it yesterday, see if you can make it. It's on Thursdays, or generally on Thursdays, 6:30 GMT time. And the more people that get involved, the more people that share their ideas and thoughts, it's better for the community, it's better for the company. And obviously, it's open for people to just, negative or positive, it doesn't matter. We're there to just try and help as best we can and share our ideas and thoughts. Okay, so Bitcoin, we'll do the usual, Bitcoin, CHSB, and then I'll do a very quick rundown on some of the other currencies. So with Bitcoin, I made a reference down here to this untapped liquidity. And just as a very subtle reminder, obviously I did this before it went down there while it was here in recorded form, so you can go back and have a look at that in one of the previous videos. Now, the reason I mentioned that is because in the video I said I had a sneaky suspicion that price was going to go down to this untapped liquidity. The general consensus with Bitcoin, the way that it's kind of moving at the minute, is it's kind of bullish, yeah. And I say kind of bullish because if it was just bullish, it would go. Bitcoin's had plenty of opportunity all the way through this price action here, this kind of sort of broadish range consolidation. It's had plenty of opportunity to just go and take out this liquidity, above 60,000. It really isn't a big deal for Bitcoin in terms of volatility, the average daily range, the weekly range, the volumes that are coming in and out of Bitcoin. There's absolutely no reason why it hasn't gone here yet. Okay, so I'm sitting there and I was analyzing Bitcoin. And I went all the way back and tracked the flows on the daily chart all the way up to this point. And I was kind of looking at it thinking, do you know what? It doesn't make sense, And I managed to find the balance between the accumulation and distribution in terms of order flows. Now, before I carry on, I'm going to be very clear about what I'm saying. It doesn't mean that I see the order book or I know what's on the tickets. That's not what I'm saying. But you can track price, you can track the accumulation and distribution, the dealing off of liquidity. So what you end up with, without getting too technical, is you end up with a situation where you can see, are we heavily favored more to the buy side or the sell side? Yeah, which one of those two has the most volume and the least liquidity? Yeah, so when you're looking at this, the balance between the two was slightly in favor of the downside. Yeah, and it made perfect sense that price was going to dip down here, grab some more liquidity, and then off it goes. And I did mention as well that if it did do that, it was going to do it quickly and it wouldn't stay there for very long, and that's exactly what we've seen. So if we go over to the daily chart, you can see this really nice, and this is, I love the accumulation phase, to the upside, especially to the upside, because downside movements, they're pretty quick and pretty rapid, but on the upside it's much easier to see. So we've had this kind of really nice move just shy of these highs. Yeah, it just came, just above 60,000. Then it started to kind of ease off a little bit, a little bit more of a retest there, nothing major. And then again, nice drop into this liquidity pool, and then a beautiful reversal. And these two candles right here, this drop and this move up. And again, I'm going to be really clear. I'm not talking about bullish engulfing. I'm not talking about a candlestick pattern. It's nothing to do with that. But this nice drop into the liquidity pool, okay, and then this nice negation, yeah, so it's just negated the entire move effectively. And then today we're getting a little bit of a little bit of nothing, but again holding steady up here, which is what we want to see. So just looking at Bitcoin like this, and I'm going to track you forward now from where we were up to this point, yeah, just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what I'm seeing. Again, primary liquidity pull down here was tapped into here, beautiful price response, none of this, kind of grindy, but it just boom, off it goes, and then it grinds up, consolidates. If you take this entire range from this high to this low, okay, then we are up in the upper third, yeah, and it's holding there steady, and then it dips to take liquidity or accumulate. All right, take out any stops below here, rebalance over here, and then we get a really nice reversal, which is a great sign that Bitcoin is healthy, it's strong, and it's going to continue going higher. And this area up here is on the cards for me, around about the sort of, well, basically above 60,000 effectively. So going into this weekend, obviously, nobody really knows when it's going to happen, but we have this general consensus across the board of people, and I'm not talking about YouTube people, I'm not talking about people who think Bitcoin is going to go to 500 billion, trillion, a gazillion. I'm just talking about normal common sense. The consensus across the board with the people that I know, the people that I speak to, and my own personal opinion, is Bitcoin is very bullish, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. The highs, I mean, the way that it's setting up, and again, this is experience, okay? So don't quote me, but from experience, the way that it's setting up and the way that the movements are going with Bitcoin, the way that it's flowing, the way that it's dealing off liquidity, especially dealing off liquidity on the upside, it's showing that when it gets up here to previous highs, I don't think it's going to stop. Originally, as price was going up here, I was kind of looking, I was thinking, okay, we're probably going to take this, dip a little bit, which it did, and then I thought we were going to get this really nice pop, to take out new highs, watch everybody pile in, and it just tanks, and ends up down here somewhere to rebalance over here. But that's not what's happened. We're seeing that it's holding very steady up here, and the dealing off on the buy side, like I said, is showing me that when it gets here, okay, and I'm saying when, not if, but when it gets here, I don't think it's going to stop. I think it's just going to continue, probably to around about 70 to 75,000, and then we kind of assess it from there. And that's based on an ADR reading and volatility, the way that Bitcoin is. So it makes sense that the 70 to 75,000 is probably going to be the place where it's going to drive for. But we'll see. We'll see. So all in all, great price action, great study. I'm obviously in Bitcoin, so I'm very happy with the way that price is moving as well. And just to go back to the 4-hour chart, this is the area that I'm expecting to be traded to pretty soon, and take out all of this liquidity here and here. And then we'll see what it does once it goes above there, and then we'll reanalyze. Okay, so Swissborg, I'll just go over to Swissborg. I made a reference over here. This was just something that I posted in the group. You'll notice that I've taken everything off the chart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart, everything fresh. We're going to go over to the weekly chart. I'm going to do a very subtle rundown, and then we'll take it from there effectively, all right? So with Swissborg, there's a lot of chatter, okay, and I'm not here to kind of convince anybody to stay in or to stop panicking or anything like that. I'm just going to talk about CHSB the way that I see it, and then obviously everybody has to make their own informed decisions, okay. But for me, I made a reference to this in the smart talk yesterday, where we were, where we ended up, the explosive move to the upside, and then this really nice healthy pullback. But what's important is this candle right here, and I'm going to highlight this candle. Okay, it's this one right here. Okay, this one. That candle is the telltale giveaway for me personally, okay, that this is healthy. If this was a big strong red candle and then price started to eat back into that, and then it kind of off a little bit and then maybe dipped a little bit and then kind of ground back up again, it's not what we really want to see. But this drop into an area of very strong liquidity, this is a huge primary liquidity pool, it's gone straight in there and it's reversed. And this is last week, obviously. So straight down and just reversed and pretty much ended very close to where it opened. This is a great sign. There's a lot of upward pressure, and the price of CHSB is holding very, very well. That's the most important thing. Okay, and to keep the charts clean, I'm going to take that off. Okay, and then we're going to go to the daily chart, and again we're just going to make a note of the primary liquidity pool, which is this one here. It's actually there. I'm going to bring this slightly over just to encompass this candle right here. So, and I'm going to change the color to, I don't know, nice purple. There we go. So this is a primary liquidity pool. We've dipped into this already. That's fine. Got around about 50% of the primary liquidity pool left, to be traded through possibly or whatever. And then we have the secondary liquidity pool, which is effectively this one here, and this is the one that we want to hold. This is the important one. The primary liquidity pool is not irrelevant at this point because we've tapped into it and it's very strong. But right now, the most important area, okay, and we will denote this with a different color, maybe a yellow one. There we go. This is the important one. This is what needs to hold, and you'll notice, okay, that price has had a nice run away from this, okay, reversed, and then we tapped into this, and here's again the most important areas, okay, that are showing one of two possible scenarios. Okay, sorry. Price ran here, and then on the next candle it dipped, or the next day it dipped into an area of liquidity, this liquidity pool. Okay, and then it started to run, takes out the high, and then it reverses again, dips into the liquidity pool, yeah, pushes away a little bit, then it starts to ease back into this liquidity pool, and then it slowly starts to push away, push away again. So what we're seeing is one of two scenarios. Either price is dipping to accumulate buy-side liquidity, accumulate buy-side liquidity, accumulate buy-side liquidity, or it's testing the liquidity pool, okay, to eventually clean it up, absorb all of that liquidity, and then start to run to the downside into this primary liquidity pool again. Now, which one of these two scenarios is more likely? Again, without going into too much detail or extreme analysis, okay, because the video is going to be too long, but to keep it simple, the scenario that I'm seeing personally, in fact, no, I'll say it a different way because it's going to be easier for you guys to get. The of the two scenarios, okay, which one are we likely seeing at the minute? What you'll generally tend to find is if price, and we'll use this liquidity pool. If price comes into a liquidity pool to absorb some liquidity and grab some buy side liquidity in this case, you'll generally tend to find one of two things. It either drops and runs into it, maybe say 20% for argument's sake. So let's say this is 100%. It runs in 20%, then it comes down again, maybe to clean up, because once price goes in, say 10% or 20%, it's gone. So if price comes into it again, it needs to take a deeper run into that liquidity to absorb more liquidity. Okay, so maybe 20%, then the next one's around about 30% into the liquidity pool, and then this one runs even deeper, and then we get a sort of move away. That's as a general rule of thumb, you'll generally find that if that happens, price is eating into that brick wall to eventually go through it. Yeah. Whereas if you find price doing what it's doing now, just tapping, it's more of an accumulation phase for a secondary run. Yeah. And again, I'm talking from experience, guys. It doesn't mean I'm right. I'm just talking from experience. Okay. So we are seeing, and this is the primary liquidity pool, but we're the secondary liquidity pool here. Sorry. But what we're seeing is we've had a sharp drop into this area, and then it started to grind up, and then another sort of easing off into this area, sort of bleeding, back down. Didn't quite touch the liquidity pool, but I'm going to make a reference to something, and maybe some of you won't like it, but I have to do it obviously because the analysis is telling me this. So here is a very interesting area. Okay, now I'm not saying I actually want price to go down there. I don't. Okay, but it is possible that price could go down here, okay, and still be very, very healthy. All right. Ideally over the weekend, because we just get a run and that's the end of it, and we just take out all the highs up here, which is something that I've been discussing for quite a while. And I genuinely believe, we will see 128 before the end of the month. Yeah. So $1.28 before the end of the month. That's something that I'm very confident with. But I don't want price to end up coming down here first before it has a nice little run up. If it does, fine. I'll maybe grab some more, but it's not the ideal scenario for me. I'd rather just see it go from here. That'd be perfect, right? But if it does drive down here, the reason that this is a possibility now is because, one, there's a buildup of liquidity here, okay? Below these lows, this one, this one, this one, this one, and now this one. Yeah, so there's a buildup of liquidity below these lows. There is an imbalance over here, and then we have a liquidity pull down here. So it may need to run, take the stops or the liquidity below these lows, rebalance, and then dip into this liquidity pool within the secondary liquidity pool within what would be the 50% remaining primary liquidity pool. And I'm sorry that it sounds really sort of confusing, and I'm trying to keep it really simple, but it's very hard to explain some of these concepts because you have to experience them. Yeah, those who've been around for a while know that I'm the trader is the edge. The trader is the only factor in all of this that can, that we can control, and we are responsible as traders or investors. We're the ones that are responsible for making or breaking a methodology. It's as simple as it gets, and I've proved this time and time again. So there's no leeway on this. It's an absolute. So with all of that said, that little ranting, like I said, I don't really want to see that happen, but if it does dip into this area, that's absolutely fine for me. I'm not worried in terms of the longer term, big picture. I've said this many times. We spoke about this in the Discord chat. I'm not worried in that respect. It just means if it does go down there, it just means that when it pops back up, it's popping back up into an area that we've sat through now for days. Whereas I'd rather price just, off it goes, get above these highs and then start to do what it's doing now up here, so people can just rest easy a little bit. Because it's not a question of, do I believe in Swissborg? Do I believe CHSP is going to go high? Of course I do, and all the analysis is telling me that, But I would rather, in the interest of keeping things on an even keel within the community, and this is more obviously for the community than it is for me personally, because I'm quite happy to never look at this chart for another year. It makes no difference to me, because I have that longer term horizon. But for the community as a whole, if it pops and it goes up into this area up here, it's perfect, because everybody can kind of rest a little bit, and give themselves a bit of a breather from the back and forth that goes on in your head, or in their head. So that's Swissborg. Again, we'll just monitor it as we do, and we'll take it from there. We'll see what happens over the weekend. Obviously, I'm going to be watching it closely, as I always do, and if there's any updates, I'll let you guys know. Uniswap, again, I mean, look, I made a reference to these two areas. If we just go over to the daily, I made a reference to these two areas, and as you can see, we've dipped into this once, we dipped into it twice. Nice move away from that. It is possible we do come down here, but to be honest, Uniswap is not something that I'm invested in. It's not something that I want to be invested in. But as a general rule of sorry, not a general rule of thumb, but as a general overview or analysis, I will be tracking this as well, just in the interest of showing, some levels of interest. So you guys can, keep an eye on certain levels and obviously apply those to whatever methodology you use. Binance, again, it's just running, and obviously this is the only level that I made a note of. There is this area up here now, but Binance for me, I mean, there's not really much to discuss on this. Kind of just running really, and this drop right here and reversal, complete negation, and then a dip into this area right here, this is a very good sign, and this is healthy. So Binance may continue, but expect these sort of relatively healthy pullbacks and then runs again, and then pull back and run again, but until I see something pretty dramatic on this, there's not really much to discuss. Pax Gold, really not interested in this, to be honest. Not a great deal going on. Weekly's just boring. Okay, so we're going to run to Ren. You'll remember that I made a reference to this area up here in one of the previous videos, and I was saying take a look at this area, and if price gets up there, it would be very interesting to see what it does if it gets there. Okay, so with Ren, it's effectively sideways for me. The fact that it came down here and then negated, and then it's just going sideways with a pop there to take liquidity and a pop there to take liquidity, this is just sideways for me. And it's probably going to be like that until something dramatic happens. Engine, I really don't know what to do with this. It's similar to Swissborg in the recent. In fact, it's similar to pretty much all of the cryptocurrencies that do this. You get this explosive move, out of nowhere, and then there's nothing you can do unless you want to buy it up here, which I would certainly not suggest anybody do that. You just simply have to wait for it to just settle and pull back. So it either starts to grind sideways again, like it's done here, or it pulls back a little bit deeper. If it does pull back a little bit deeper, the only area of interest is going to be this area right here. Okay, so I wouldn't do anything with this. If I was interested in buying this, I wouldn't do it until it gets to $3. That's just me. All right. XRP not interested, and the rest, the rest is irrelevant. So that's the update today. Weekend's coming, obviously. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'm in and out of the chat, obviously, as always. Any questions, any comments, any ideas, suggestions for the videos, please let me know. And as always, guys, I hope you are finding these videos informative, and a shout out to everybody that's involved in the community and putting themselves forward to help and to kind of drive Swissborg forward with their ideas and comments. All right, so I will yeah, I'm going to leave it on Bitcoin. So I'm going to leave it at that, guys. Have an awesome weekend, and I will see you in the next video, and I will catch up with you in the chat. Take care.